Welcome back to another Strictly Auburn recap podcast. I'm Jake Lazarus, and I'm here with Connor King and Eli Lingo. Auburn lost on Saturday 42-10 in Athens to the University of Georgia. They lost for their sixth straight time in Athens. What'd y'all see on Saturday? What'd y'all think of the game?
Man, what I thought of the game gave me the same kind of vibes as watching the Penn State game. A lot of penalties, didn't look prepared, and just a lot of sloppy play on both sides of the ball. It just wasn't a fun game to watch at all.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't fun at all, especially I was watching the game with my mom, who graduated from the University of Georgia, so that didn't help too much.
Yeah.
Although, honestly, our defense didn't look terrible, except, for the fact that they didn't have much rest.
Yeah.
The offense would come out there, and it would be 3 to 5 plays, and then,
they were done
again, and the defense is back on.
It was a quick series. They were on the field for under 3 minutes most drives.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's awful, and it just doesn't give our defense enough time to get hydrated and take a few breaths and evaluate what's going on. So
especially when you're playing an offense like Georgia, that's a really good, one of the better offenses in the SEC. You got to give your defense time to relax after. I mean, they held their own until about after the second half usually, but
it's kind of the story of Auburn 2022.
Usually what happens, but I mean, once you're off, that's usually what happens. Their offense stops playing good after the first quarter, and it just kind of breaks our defense down. So it is what it is.
Just to highlight that, time of possession stats, Auburn had the ball for 24 minutes and 31 seconds. On the other hand, UGA had the ball for 35 minutes and 29 seconds. So the time of possession numbers is really kind of distorted, and the story of that is it's almost impossible to win football games when you don't have the football. It's hard to score when you're on defense.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
But yeah, it's really difficult. One of the things that did stand out was, or lack thereof, Robbie Ashford's play. He played all right. I mean, the completion percentage way down from where it should be. He was 13 for 38 for 165 yards and a touchdown. He also had 9 carries for 52 yards. What'd y'all think of his play this past week?
I mean, with the O-line play, he probably did the best he could have done. He had a couple of mistakes that really kind of hurt, but I mean, this is the worst O-line play I've probably seen in my lifetime watching Auburn football. I mean, they really haven't. They look really, really unorganized. They're letting guys run right through. I mean, Robbie's running for his life back there, and I mean, I thought he did what he could. The best he could have done was trying to roll out and find guys down the field. When he did have time, which was like maybe twice, I think he hit a couple of guys down the field. So I don't know. It just wasn't. I mean, the O-line's just not.
Yeah, every time the ball was snapped, it seemed as if there was about half a second to maybe a second and a half of time where the O-line was actually blocking the D linemen.
Yeah.
They broke through nearly every single play, no matter what it was. And like you said, Robbie did have some great plays when he was able to.
Yeah.
I don't think that he really played that bad. Obviously, he fumbled the ball a few times. There were some mistakes.
It's just rookie mistakes, though.
Yeah, he's a freshman, and he got thrown out in the field after TJ got hurt, and Calzada, I guess, was hurt the whole time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't knock on him too hard. I like Ashford a lot, and he's going to get better every week, and just getting more field time. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to get better with time. I mean, I've said this before, but he's young. He's really, really young. So those young mistakes are really starting to show against the better defenses in the SEC. We saw the fumble. He was going to scramble for a big third down conversion. I think it was in Auburn's own inside of our own red zone, and fumbled without even getting touched. He had an easy first down and just literally dropped the ball. So stuff like that has to get cleaned up.
One thing I do want to know.
Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. You want me to go? I mean, just the kid. He was the third on the depth chart coming into the season. And like or like Connor said, he hasn't seen. I mean, when you're third string on the depth chart, you're running the other team's plays. Like you're not even looking at Auburn's playbook. So for him to come in here and do what he's done, I think is pretty good. And I like the direction he's going to, and I think we could build a really good team around him. To be honest,
yeah, this offense wasn't built for Robbie, and it's really apparent that it wasn't built for his skill set. The other thing I saw, and I thought the CBS broadcast actually did a really good job of saying this. I've said for the past few weeks that his happy feet it's a really bad quality of a quarterback, and it's hard to watch when you got happy feet in the pocket. You got to stay a little more composed. But this past week, there were some flashes where he actually he moved a little more north and south rather than east and west. When he ran sideline to sideline, you kind of close off half the field and you force yourself into bad situations where you either have to force throws or throw the ball away and waste it down. Or if you start moving north and south in the pocket, you can either drop back, make your throws and accurately off your back foot, or you step up in the pocket, make your reads through your progressions, and you can run if there's no spy or there's no men watching you or whatever. But you got to make the right read if you're moving north and south rather than east and west.
Yeah. I mean, I saw you probably couldn't put Tom Brady back behind our line. He probably wouldn't complete a pass. It'd
probably be roughing the passer.
It's right. Dude, that was crazy.
Giants fan.
Oh gosh. But
that was probably speaking of
that
penalties,
was probably the worst.
Yeah,
that was probably the worst roughing passer in NFL history, easily.
Probably. But yeah, speaking of penalties, Auburn was penalized. It was kind of unreal to watch. It felt like every play there was another whistle. More importantly,
It was 10 penalties.
10 penalties.
We actually
on both sides of the ball
penalties in Penn State. Yeah.
Great. So it wasn't just our offense. It wasn't just false starts, but the defensive line and taking offsides or encroachment penalties. It was just an ugly, sloppy brand of football. What did y'all see in terms of penalties and all that stuff?
Yeah, go ahead, Connor. You got it.
I don't have much to say about it except for the fact that it seemed like every time something good was going on either side of the ball, a flag was thrown. It completely killed our momentum every time. We looked so undisciplined, and we looked almost scared this weekend, and I think that kind of just brought penalties in with it because, when players are scared and they're intimidated of their opponent, it seems like they just mess up more and jump too early or, do things of that nature. So it didn't look like a traditional Auburn team. When I think of Auburn football, I think of a disciplined, well-coached team, and I just did not see that at all this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, really rare that you see a senior player and a captain of the team jump off sides like that with their call. And, talking about this coaching staff, Harsin preaches execution, discipline, and he just doesn't display that. We don't display that on the field with the stupid penalties that literally set us, like Connor, every time we would get a first down, it would be 2nd and 3, we would get a false start, or on defense, it's a third holding.
In these big games, when you're in a hostile environment with a crowd that's all like on top of you, you got to stay ahead of the chains. On first down, you got to pick up 3 yards. That's at least in the NFL and in college, that is the standard. You pick up 3 yards, make second down and manageable, third down and manageable. Right. Auburn is last of all FBS teams in third down to go yardage, average yardage at over 8.5. That is absolutely atrocious. It's you can't dump that on a freshman quarterback and say, here you go, here's a 9-yard third down in Athens, Georgia against probably the best defense in college football. That's not a reasonable ask, and penalties only make that more difficult.
I mean, it's hard. It's a daunting task for any quarterback to go in Athens and win a football game. I mean, we haven't won there since 2005, so it's a hard task in itself. And then asking Robbie Ashford, a redshirt freshman, to do that behind this O-line is almost impossible. And then with the defense, the penalties. I don't understand them. I mean, how does a senior Derek Hall jump off sides? He's been in this game for probably been playing the football since he's like 7 years old, and he goes and I don't know. I think it's a lack of preparation. I guess I'm not sure.
I mean, yeah, it happens once, it's all right. If it happens again, then you start getting on a player. But the third time, he looked a little bit hurt. Go down. No need to take penalties. Go down.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. It looked like he was like walking back. Yeah, he was hurt. He was limping. But go down. If you go down, there's no penalty. No penalty.
Yeah.
No timeout. Clock stops. Don't understand that.
Yeah. Derek Hall and Colby Wooden went out.
Yeah, I mean, like you said though, lack of preparation. All comes back to the coaches. So I'm kind of curious what y'all think. Do you guys think Brian Harsin finishes this season at Auburn, or do you think there's some sort of buyout that happens in the next couple weeks?
I think that a lot of Auburn fans want Harsin out immediately, which I've heard so much. I've seen on social media a lot, even from fans of other teams too. It's very popular, trendy thing to say to fire Harsin right now. I think even the boosters want him out too. Although I do think that he will finish the season. I think that he's going to be fired regardless, no matter what the result is of the season at this point. Harsin's not a good fit in Auburn. Although I think he'll coach the rest of the season and hopefully bring us to 500. Hopefully to a bowl game. We'll see. But we're 500 right now, so it's hopeful thinking.
What would it take for us to get to a bowl game? Like, we need 6 wins. So that's 4 wins in our last 6 games.
Yeah.
Right?
So Western Kentucky.
I can see Arkansas.
Probably Arkansas, and then either. I don't know.
Alabama.
Let's not get our hopes. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Eli, what about you? Do you think Harsin gets bought out this season before the season ends?
I think the only way that you see him get bought out is if we for sure have a coach ready to be hired. I mean, I don't think we should fire him and then already have to look for a coach. I think we do fire him. We need to have a coach ready to go, to be hired and ready to fill in his spot. I think we see him. We'll probably see him to the end of the year, just kind of because it's a weird effect on recruiting and stuff like that. If he leaves, does the whole staff leave with him? And if the whole staff leaves, I mean, we don't have an OC or a DC, and who's going to be our intern if he does leave halfway through? So it's a lot of confusion that it creates when you hire him halfway through the season. And also, I don't think it looks good for just Auburn as a program to hire a second-year head coach or have a second-year head coach and fire him halfway through the season. So I think you should keep him to the end. It's okay to go ahead and hire another coach. Just, keep him and don't announce anything let him finish the season and then kind of get everything out after the season ends. So, yeah, that's what I think on it. But like Connor said, Harsin he preaches, he's a big talk, he says all these things, he's a quarterback's guru, he's this, he's that. But this isn't the Mountain West, dude. This is the SEC, and this is the hardest schedule, I think, in the country with Auburn. Every year,
yeah, that's a good point.
Week in, week out, you play Georgia, LSU, Alabama every freaking year, man. So whoever we bring in, he better know what he's doing, and he better be prepared for this task. And I hope we get somebody good if we do. But
I mean, there's only so many guys who can fill those shoes that we know that are like that have the resume, that are capable of it. I mean, there's only a handful. I would put Lane Kiffin's name in there. Again, not saying that these are guys who I want to see in Auburn's head coaching position, just names that have the resume that seem to fit this job. Lane Kiffin being one of them. Are there any other names that realistically that we should keep an eye out for? Maybe Deion Sanders. Just throwing that out there for him to make the jump into the SEC world, big time FBS world.
The two names that I see the most is Lane and Deion, but I don't know.
Also, they already have 2 gigs that they're both pretty comfortable at as well, which doesn't help at all.
Well,
yeah, Deion's coaching his son right now, so I don't see him leaving Jackson State.
Lane,
I did see
Lane has said multiple
Deion
things about Oxford, so.
Lane has mentioned that he doesn't enjoy. I don't know. Well, he did come out saying that he didn't enjoy the atmosphere and how the fans didn't show up for the game. And one thing that you get with Auburn, and a lot of things, a lot of people that I don't like what a lot of people are saying is, like who would want to come to Auburn? Like Auburn, I would say is a really really good job as a coach if you want to build a program and actually attend for a national championship. I mean, I think the foundation here at Auburn is a really good foundation to build on. I mean, yeah, we haven't been a contending program the past couple of years, but if you're really a badass coach and know what you're doing, you can turn this program around and really contend a national championship. And then also just with go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I mean, we've showed that, I mean, in a season where we are, to say the most, we are a subpar football team. And yet, for an 11 a.m. at home against LSU, we still packed that stadium and striped the stadium. Like, this is a one-of-a-kind college football environment. So I think especially for a coach that doesn't think very highly of his current environment, I think this would be an incredible step up from Ole Miss or from, a Jackson State environment, obviously. But
yeah,
we'll see if there's any other guys that come up any other names that pop up in the next few weeks or any other jobs that open. Because the big brands right now that have job openings, we have Nebraska, Georgia Tech's job just opened up, and Arizona State. There's a handful all across the country.
Which I think Auburn is still.
I think Auburn's leading the pack for sure. Yeah.
Either us or Nebraska.
Nebraska is a big job.
I think Nebraska is a pretty big football brand in the Midwest. But we'll get news to y'all as soon as we have it. We'll give it to y'all.
I want to say this real quick too.
Yeah, go for it.
Harsin, I don't think that he's a bad head coach. I don't think he's a bad football coach. I just think it's really hard to coach at Auburn, and I think that wherever his job ends up being in the next forthcoming years, I think that he's going to have success, especially if it's a Group of 5 program, because he had great success at Boise State. But just like the points y'all were all saying a minute ago, Auburn is a huge job, one of the most important jobs in the entire college football landscape. So.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, recently with all the discussion about relevance in the college football world being noted for the College Football Playoff Committee and and AP polls and how they've voted continuously for Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, the list goes on, about the past few years and how the past few years and their relevancy have made a big deal and impact on their current status. But as for Auburn, Strictly Auburn, that wraps us up. It was nice talking to y'all. Nice recapping UGA. Connor, Eli, always fun.
Yep.
War Eagle, guys.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.